Okay, and today in class we did a test review for a photosynthesis test that you'll take tomorrow or when you come back if you're out because you're sick. This paper is the answers or the lab write-up to the lab that we did in class over the stoma. We're going to go through this together and make sure you have the correct answers because that's important to study. The second paper that we're going to go through looks like this one. This is one that we gave Wednesday or maybe Thursday in class. It has photosynthesis on one side, and then on the back side is cellular respiration. Okay. Both of these topics are covered on the test, so you're going to want to make sure you have both of those handy. Also, I'm going to go through your journal with you and make sure that you have all the papers that you need to study for your test. And if you don't have one, you can, I can show you where to go to get it. Don't forget that there is a Prezi on Edmodo about energy. There's some pictures there. There's a video there, and all those things will help you study for your test. So, in your journal, the first thing that you need to have to study, and I know we did this in class on Friday, but just in case you missed Friday too, the first thing that you need to have to kind of peek over is the paper that looks like this. It's the vocabulary match cards. So, or no, this isn't this. I'm sorry, this is the key terms. But we did the vocabulary dissection. The word carbohydrate is not going to be on the test, so you don't really need to worry about that one. Okay. The next paper that's really important to study are these two, and I'll move it where you can see really well so make sure you understand. This paper, these 5 paragraphs, are covered pretty extensively on the test. The last 3 of these are where you go to find the answers to the lab paper. So if you struggle with the lab paper, make sure you read these last 3 paragraphs. On the inside of this little booklet that we made, you've got this drawing about what goes in to the plant and then what comes out. And it's side by side there is another diagram, and we wrote some notes, remember, into the stoma, out of the stoma, in through the vascular system, so that's important to study too. There will be a diagram on the test. You will have to identify. Okay, on this paper, on one side we have the 3 different photosynthesis equations. Now, this is also on the Prezi that I put out on Edmodo a couple of days ago. So these 3 things, the equation, what the symbols mean, and then the word, the sentence, the word equation, is also out there to study. You have to memorize the equation. You have to memorize it. There's no word bank, so make sure you know. Okay, the photosynthesis match cards, the only vocabulary words that were not on the test are algae and bacteria, or plankton. We'll use those next unit, but right now those are not going to be on this test. Okay. For the most part, that's all we have. Some of these things have reinforced, but as far as studying, that's what you really need to study. Okay. I'm going to show you the correct answers so you can kind of go over to the leaf structure and function page. I want you to make sure you have your right answers to study for your test. Okay, so here is, and I'll read them because the camera might not be big enough. We're still trying this out. All right, so the outermost covering of the leaf is the epidermis. We didn't actually touch the leaves in class, so if any of your prior experience you've touched a leaf, smooth, waxy, really any answer that is appropriate. Number 3, the epidermis is nearly transparent. You had to read in that 3rd or 4th paragraph to get that answer. Number 4 has 2 answers. Anytime you see an and in a question, you've got to answer them both. So number 1, what's the purpose of the stoma? It's to let gases to enter and exit. And over here I said that carbon dioxide enters and oxygen gas exits. The second part is the guard cells. How do they work? Guard cells open and close. That's how the stoma works. They swell with water to open, and then they lose water when they need to close. Okay. In the lab that we did, where we looked at the stoma from the IV in the classroom, You should have seen both opened and closed stoma. If you wrote open, I'll accept the answer. If you wrote closed, I'll accept that too. So both is appropriate. Number 6, what closes the stoma? We've already kind of said that, but again, it's the guard cells. And the water pressure. We use that word in class, turgor pressure, to explain when the vacuole fills up with water and pushes up against the sides of the cell and the cytoplasm. And they fill with water when they want to open, and they lose water when they need to close. Number 7, the chlorophyll is green. And number 8, the chloroplast holds the chlorophyll. If you put leaves, I'll accept that answer, but you need to go a little bit further and understand that the chloroplast is where the chlorophyll is made. Number 9, what goes in and out of the stoma? Again, we've already answered that one pretty thoroughly up there, but carbon dioxide goes in and oxygen comes out. You might remember through transpiration, water vapor does leave through the stoma as well. And number 10, I know a lot of you want to say soil, but you got to stretch that knowledge. The roots. You got to say the roots. Okay. What I did in class today was I drew a sketch from memory of what, and you should be able to do this too, of what the stoma looked like. Okay. And on the test there is a diagram, and I'll show you in just a second, but you have to identify all of these structures. You've got to identify the chloroplasts in the other cells. So here's our chloroplast and our other cells. You have to identify that this structure is a guard cell, and there are 2 of them, one on either side. The opening in the middle is that stoma, and this is an open stoma. And then I've just labeled some other chloroplasts in there. So you need to make sure that you did a detailed sketch. If you don't have one, you can go to Google Images and see one, but there's also one in that Prezi that's titled Energy, the Big Idea. There's several of those. So make sure that you can do this and label it. There's 4 possible test questions here. Chloroplast, stoma, guard cell, and other cells. If you have any questions, you can always message me on Edmodo tonight, and I'll see if I can help you out, or come in before school tomorrow for a little bit of tutoring. Okay, the next page is the test review. This is the side that starts with photosynthesis. Most of you figured it out. This is exactly like the worksheet that had the leaf on the back where you had a diagram. I took that for a grade. Some of you had late makeup redos, and so I gave this to you to study by. Okay, so number 1, the answer is light energy. Number 2, the correct answers are chloroplasts and leaves. Number 3 is chlorophyll. Number 4, chemical energy. 5, carbon dioxide and water. 6 is hydrogen, and 7 is oxygen, and 8 is glucose. I went through that pretty fast because we've done this in class already once before. All right. Underneath this, I wrote one more time the chemical equation for photosynthesis. And I wrote memorize. You have to memorize this. There's no word bank. You've got to be able to just generate this. 6 molecules of carbon dioxide react with 6 molecules of water to produce 1 molecule of glucose and 6 molecules of oxygen. And all of this takes place in the chloroplast in the presence of sunlight. Okay. So you've got to have that. You have it in several different places. It's in your journal. It's on the Prezi. You can copy it here to help you study. Okay, you just have to commit that to memory. All right. Next page is the one on the back of this guy. And this is the one about cellular, where we are, there we go, a cellular respiration. Okay, this is the paper that had the horse on it that we went over in class. So again, I'm just going to go through it, read it to you, make sure you can understand, see the answers at least, and then at the bottom, I'll give you the formula. Okay, photosynthesis is number 1. Number 2 is energy. Now, I know the word bank just says energy, but you also need to understand that it's chemical energy. If you just wrote energy, it's still correct, and that's okay to study, but go a little further, go a little deeper, and understand that that's chemical energy that's stored. Number 3 doesn't have one. It's just a statement. Number 4 is where it happens. All this happens in the mitochondria. And number 5, during cellular respiration, the cell uses oxygen, and it releases glucose. Number 6, 2 byproducts are carbon dioxide and water. Number 7, some of the energy is produced during this, we call it ATP, it's short. That's an abbreviation for adenosine triphosphate. And number 8, some of the energy is lost as heat. For this equation, all you have to do is recognize it. You don't have to memorize it. It's a multiple choice style question where all you've got to do is recognize what this looks like. And all of this takes place in the mitochondria. You need to copy this down and you need to recognize it. This is not anywhere else. It was written on the board in our classroom, but we took that down. So this is your chance. This is your shot to get this one. Now, in class today, we talked about the test. I explained that there's going to be diagrams. There's 11 multiple choice questions. You have to label a sketch. You have to fill in the blanks on the photosynthesis equation. There's a couple of safety questions, but for the most part, that's the test. If you have questions, you can come see me during homeroom tomorrow. You can come before school. I'll be here. If you have me after lunch, you can come in and see me during lunch. And you can always message me here on Edmodo and get your questions answered. Good luck, and I hope you study hard.